a fire at the exhibition. Wow, words. Anniebot is an explosive. Anniebot is a, I cannot speak. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' new books that I have received recently. Pretty much all of these are gifts from my birthday, or for my birthday, which was the end of August. And most of them are from my boyfriend. He was very sweet and spoiled me this year with getting the top like 6 or 7, I think 7 books off of my wish list. I was like, oh, thanks. That was very sweet. And I got a few others from friends. So yeah, I will show you now. There is one that hasn't arrived yet. One of the ones my boyfriend got me. I'll tell you what it is, but because I'm not sure when it's going to arrive. And I'm just going in order of the stack that I have here. This is in no particular order. However, this one is just so sweet and so special. Roger and I were talking about, I think it was on my video. I think he commented on my video showing my Wuthering Heights collection and my Great Gatsby collection, the most recent one I did of that. And I'm pretty sure it was there, or it was in a private message where we were talking about the seasons editions that, who's the publisher? Unsure. Thomas Nelson, HarperCollins Christian Publishing. Oh God. But yeah, they did these seasons die cut ones that are just stupid gorgeous. I don't know, I'm sure it's shiny, so you can't see super well. But yeah, I mentioned that I didn't have this, and he found, it's technically a used copy, but it is pristine, and it's just so beautiful. Love it so much. The sprayed edges, like, oh my God, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. I think he was saying he has this in one of his faves, maybe like Dracula or something. I could be making shit up. And it just has these kind of pages here and there with quotes. So beautiful. So beautiful. So thank you so much, Roger. Love that. And then getting into some that my boyfriend got me. I think actually the next few are all from him. But I had this. I have 4 of these. It's a collection. It's a series of different mythological creatures. I have vampires. I have mermaids. Do I have mermaids? I don't know. I have 4 of them at any rate. And they're all different colors and they just look so pretty. And I have them out on a shelf in the living room. And so he got me the pink, the unicorns one. Whoops. Paper. I always keep those. But yeah, so he got me that. Yay. It's just myths, legends, and lore. And another one he got me. This is a book I have read before and really, really enjoyed. And I have other works by this author on my shelves that I haven't read yet, but I really wanted The Word for World is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. It's very short, and I want to reread it. I don't really remember all that much about the plot. I just remember really, really liking it, and it just being... I've only read 2 Ursula K. Le Guins, but or no, 3. I've read, right? I've read 3? I don't know. But it's like weird because they're kind of confusing, and it's sci-fi, and it's like, you know, big concepts, big ideas, talking about humanity and all the things. And they're like quieter plots and stories, but they're just, I don't know, they sit with me, you know? So I want to reread this. The synopsis here. When the inhabitants of a peaceful world are conquered by the bloodthirsty humans, their existence is irrevocably altered. Forced into servitude, the Athsheans find themselves at the mercy of their brutal masters. Desperation causes the Athsheans, led by Selver, to retaliate against their captors, abandoning their strictures against violence. But in defending their lives, they have endangered the very foundations of their society. For every blow against the invaders is a blow to the humanity of the Athsheans. And once the killing starts, there is no turning back. And yeah, I want to reread it and sit with it again. And now I can. Another one that I have read before and I've just had on my wish list forever. It's one that I do intend to reread at some point. It was just a more difficult read. I read it in an afternoon though, and that is Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios. This is a young adult contemporary, and it is about a young girl who she lives in an abusive household, just very bad home life. And then she falls in love with this boy, and he turns out to be abusive as well. And it's just her falling for him and getting ensnared via his manipulation tactics and all of that fun stuff. And then trying to get out. And it's intense if you've experienced, you know, relationship abuse, or I would assume too domestic, like at home abuse from parents. There's some scenes in there of that, but definitely more so on the romance, which, you know, it's not a romance. The book is not, I would not categorize it as romance at all, because it's very much just about this girl getting out of this. And it just touches so well on how you get into it. And more so for me, it was once you're in it, how hard it is to get out. Even when you realize and you know, I need to leave, I need to get out of this, but how entangled you've become in this person and how manipulated you have become by this person, where it's not that easy. Everyone's saying like, oh, I would just leave. The first time they did that, I would just leave. Or, well, how many strikes are you gonna give them? Like, I know how easy it is to say that, because I feel like in the past, prior to my experience, I probably did say that and felt very confident that I would never. And like, I'm so feisty and I'm so opinionated and I'll fight back, blah, 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 which I did. Even being that type of person, I still was able to be manipulated by someone who, when they're good at it, they're good at it and they can get anybody. And yeah, just very, very good depiction of that. Very hard-hitting. I had to set it down a couple times because of my emotions overtaking me, of like getting a little triggered, but like kind of in a cathartic way. Like I said, I sat down and I read this book in an afternoon. I never do that, especially with average sized books, you know, not like a novella. Yeah, 350 some pages. And I couldn't put it down except for just a couple times for a few minutes where I had to. So yay, now I have it. Can tab up my copy. The next one he got me is the next T.E. Kinsey Lady Hardcastle mystery that I do not have, A Fire at the Exhibition. Wow, words. This is a cozy mystery series set in like Victorian England, I think. I don't know, it's back in the day. 1912 is this one. And yeah, we follow Lady Hardcastle, who is a widow, and her best friend slash maid, Flo, and they get into little escapades every book. Different mysteries arise, and I think it's so fun and funny. I have not caught up. I've read the first 5, definitely the first 4. I think I've read the first 5, and then there's 4 that I haven't read, and then now this one. So now I have 5 to catch up with. It's just one of those series that, like, when I just want a little, you know, palate cleanser from a bunch of like deeper fantasy, heavier fantasy, adult fantasy, or maybe I've read some horror or thriller or just more serious stuff lately, and I kind of want to break it up. These are so good for that. I love the banter. It's so, the writing, the authorial voice is so like witty, clever, dry British humor type of thing, and it's just right up my alley. Love it so much. And then he also got me The Blood-Dimmed Tide by Stephen Arion. This is the next installment in the Nightingale and the Falcon series, the first book being The Judas Blossom, and I quite enjoyed it. The first one was definitely more military battle strategy kind of leaning in parts, which isn't exactly my cup of tea, but I didn't mind those parts. I didn't think they were like, they weren't bad. They didn't like feel like they were done poorly, and they weren't too extensive either, where I was like, okay, like if it was the majority of the book, I probably wouldn't want to continue, but it wasn't. And there's some characters that I just really like. And towards the end of that first book, there were some things that happened and some reveals that just, the intrigue level is high. So I definitely want to check it out. This is a series following several characters, but it's the rise of like the Mongol Empire as they are invading like Persia and that area in the Middle East. And yeah, we're following a few different characters that are very heavily involved with all of this. So that's all I'll say. But I'm very, very keen to read this soon, hopefully. It just came out, I can't remember when, but like, I want to say maybe in July. Could be horribly, horribly wrong. But yeah, a couple months ago at any rate. Then he got me this one, Hip Hop is History by Questlove. Love this naked hardcover. My God, so great. This I saw at the airport bookstore when I was coming back from a work trip, and I just was like, oh shit. So I put it on my wish list, and yeah, he got it for me. It's nonfiction, and it says, this is a book only Questlove could have written, a perceptive and personal reflection on the first half century of hip hop. When hip hop first emerged in the 1970s, it wasn't expected to become the cultural force it is today. But for a young black kid growing up in a musical family in Philadelphia, it was everything. He stayed up late to hear the newest songs on the radio, saved his money to buy vinyl as soon as it landed. He even started to make his own songs. That kid was Questlove. Now in this landmark book, Questlove traces the creative and cultural forces that made and shaped hip-hop, highlighting both the forgotten but influential gems and the undeniable chart-topping hits, and weaves it all together with the stories no one else knows. It is at once an intimate, sharply observed story and a sweeping theory of the evolution of the great artistic movement of our time. Questlove approaches it with both the encyclopedic fluency of an obsessive fan and the unique expertise of an innovative participant. Hip-hop is history and also his history. And this just sounds like, it definitely sounds like partially memoir. I'm interested to see how memoir-ish it feels. I'm interested in that. I mean, Questlove seems like an intriguing person, and I definitely think the perspective will be cool to read about. But it also feels like more like what I thought that one nonfiction book that I DNF'd earlier this year that I've had on my shelves forever. It was like a library copy that I got, like I used at a library sale, and it was Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And that one ended up being, and it was like way thicker too. And what I was reading of it, it just was more about like the political aspect of like hip hop getting like, and hip hop artists being involved in politics or just the political conversation around hip hop and all of that, which is interesting too, but not what I wanted. I wanted more of just like a history of the music itself and the evolution of the music itself and trends and how things change. It's so fascinating to me. I love hip hop. I love rap. Why? I don't know, because I started listening to it back in my hometown when I was in high school. And like people listen to like the top 40, like, you know, rap music and stuff that was on the radio. But there weren't very many kids like into it. I just randomly just started liking it. And I think it was because of the lyricism. I always have been, recently I've gotten out of it, but when I was younger, I was very into poetry. I read poetry constantly. I wrote poetry that was terrible. But I've always just been a writer too. I've just always loved writing. And I think that's what really intrigued me with it. And I like good beats to dance to also. But I just love the lyricism and the wordplay and the clever wordplay and all of that. And I do also, I like the other book, like I said, it wasn't that it wasn't interesting, because I do also appreciate and enjoy the cultural impact that hip hop has. Obviously not for me personally, but it is a very impactful cultural phenomenon and musical genre. And it's very fascinating, and I think it's important. But yeah, this sounds like probably more what I am wanting in that. So I'm excited to pick it up. And then my lovely bestie Ingrid also got me a couple of things. She got me Abby Jimenez Just for the Summer. She knows that I read the first book in this series, and now I can't remember the name of it, Part of Your World. And I enjoyed it, but there were elements that I didn't love. But I have the second book, and I didn't have the third one. And people seem to, I think I'm going to like the second and the third ones more than I liked the first one. That seems to be the vibe. So I am very, very excited. And she got this for me. She recently read them and loved them. She also got me Anniebot by Sierra Greer, because she recently read this. Ingrid recently read this and loved it and just is like, dude, I think you're going to like it. She also, I think there's been 2 other books. At least one that I can remember though. Dowry of Blood was one that she was like, oh, man, I think you're really gonna like this. And she bought me my copy. I have the original like self-published version that she got for me, and I loved it. So fingers crossed that I also am going to love this. It's shorter. I think it's technically a novella. The synopsis though, it sounds very interesting. Anniebot was created to be the perfect girlfriend for her human owner, Doug. Designed to satisfy his emotional and physical needs, she has dinner ready for him every night, wears the cute outfits he orders for her, and adjusts her libido to suit his moods. True, she's not the greatest at keeping Doug's place spotless, but she's trying to please him. She's trying hard. She's learning, too. Doug says he loves that Annie's artificial intelligence makes her seem more like a real woman, but the more human Annie becomes, the less perfectly she behaves. As Annie's relationship with Doug grows more intricate and difficult, she starts to wonder, does Doug really desire what he says he wants? And in such an impossible paradox, paradox, what does Annie owe herself? An unforgettable novel that combines Kazuo Ishiguro's exploration of humanity with the powerful narrative drive of My Dark Vanessa. Anniebot is an explosive Anniebot is an explosive meditation on intimacy, power, autonomy, and control. And yeah, it sounds very, very intriguing. So fingers crossed, I really like it. Oh, and the other book that boyfriend got me that has not arrived yet, and I'm not sure when it's going to arrive, is George R. R. Martin, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. That show is coming out next year, I think, or maybe the year after. I'm pretty sure next year, though. And I haven't read that one yet, the novella, so. And then when I was in Michigan, I got these two books randomly. My nephew read one of them and loved it, and I just was kind of fascinated. They're just little nonfiction, shorter kind of things. This one I think is mostly like pictures. Yeah, it's like pictures throughout history. This one has a lot of photos too, but the first one is Abandoned Michigan, Doorways to Decay by Kyle Brookie. Sounds interesting to me. And then this one is Images of America, Traverse City State Hospital by Chris Miller. This is a mental institution that was, a sanatorium that like people say is haunted and all this crap now. But yeah, they did, lobotomies and terrible things. And I actually have an ancestor who I found out, my mom didn't know how it was someone on her side of the family. Just always heard that this person had like collapsed in a field and that's how they died. When I was doing Ancestry.com research years ago, lo and behold, I discovered a death certificate for this person at Traverse City State Hospital. And turns out he had syphilis, and syphilis left untreated makes people go mentally unwell. And yeah, he went up there and that's where he died. So just fascinating little family secret type of thing. And yeah, I just thought it was fascinating. So, and then I have a Goldsboro book that I got last month, I think, The Palace of Eros by Caro de Robertis. Oh yeah, Robertis. And this is one that I probably would have skipped if I had been able to skip. It's beautiful, as per usual, with these cool sprayed edges. I just don't know how intrigued I am with it, with the plot, I guess, the premise. Maybe I'll love it, though. Young, headstrong Psyche has captured the eye of every suitor with her beauty, but also, unfortunately, the jealous gaze of the goddess Aphrodite. As punishment, Psyche is tied to a rock to be sacrificed to a monstrous husband, and yet no monster arrives. Instead, she is spirited away by Aphrodite's daughter, Eros. Eros, goddess of desire, can change gender at will, and in her hidden palace, she visits her bride under the cloak of darkness. Psyche is forbidden to gaze upon the face of her lover, but as they explore each other's bodies and discover new pleasures, Psyche is tempted to break her vow, even if it brings down the wrath of the gods. So it's a retelling of Psyche and Eros. Groundbreaking, gender fluid, hugely enjoyable. We shall see. I just don't tend to love these types of mythological retellings for some reason. Like Madeline Miller style stuff. I DNF'd Song of Achilles. So I don't know, we'll see, but I couldn't skip it. So here it is. And that is all. Let me know if you have read any of these or are intrigued by any of these. Or if you just want to say hello, you can leave a little emoji to let me know you're watching. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.